there's a great little feature inside of Camera Raw called snapshots. All right. Now, if you're watching this video and you've ever used Lightroom, one of the questions I get quite often is there anything in Camera Raw that's similar to a virtual copy inside of Lightroom? The answer is not really. There's not a virtual copy inside of Camera Raw. However, there's something called snapshots, which can come pretty close. So a virtual copy inside of Lightroom, I'll first explain that, is it's kind of like a version. Let's say I come over here and I convert this to black and white. Well, let's say I want my color version. What would I do to get my color version? Well, I have to keep turning this on and off to see the difference, okay? And sometimes I want to show people, sometimes I don't want to have to go back through all the settings. So in Lightroom, we can create kind of a fake copy of a photo, and we can apply something to it, and it makes a different version. Instead of calling, wedding photo number 1, wedding photo black and white, wedding photo tinted, wedding photo that. So that's a virtual copy. In Camera Raw, there's something called snapshots, and it's kind of got a couple of different purposes, but we can use them to create similar to what a version would be. All right, let me show you how that would work. So let's take an example here. I'll come over here to my basic panel, maybe warm the photo just a little bit, come over here to effects, add a little bit of a vignette here, open up the shadows just a hair, and maybe a little bit of clarity, not too much because it tends to harshen up some features here. So we've gone in here and we've created a version of the photo. All right, here's before, here's after. So what I can do is go to snapshots because I know that I like the photo up to this point. I'm going to go off and do other things to it, but I know at this point I kind of like the photo. So I'm going to come over here to snapshot and we'll just call this color version. Click OK. So now let's come back over here and let's convert this one to a black and white and maybe tweak it a little bit. Bring the sky down. Maybe even add a little bit of a stronger vignette because I think it'll work better for a black and white. And that could be version number 2. Now, if I want to get back to the color version, do you really want to go through here and zero out all the sliders that you've changed? And in this example, we only changed 2 panels, but maybe you did more than that. So do you really want to go back and zero out everything to get back to this? And sometimes you might not even remember everything that you did. Well, that's why I got a snapshot. Because I can go back to my color version, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create another version called black and white. Come back over. Let's go to split toning. Another thing that you can do to black and whites, add a little bit of a tint. I'll go to the shadows. I'll increase saturation. Whenever I do a split tone, I typically stay away from the highlights. I just don't like the way it looks on highlights. I just kind of want to add a little bit of a color tint to the shadows. So I'll come over here and add a color tint to it and maybe even go to the effects panel and add some green. All right, you can see here, kind of gives it a little bit of an older type of a feel. All right, here's before and after for the green. So now I have a different version. Come back over here to snapshots, click on that, call it tinted. Click OK. So what I've done for myself is I've done a couple of different things. I've given myself a way out. If I decide I don't like anything that I've done to the photo since the color version, then I can just click on color version. But I've also, in a way, I've given myself versions. I've given myself something different to look at, especially if you have somebody come up. I don't know about you. I do it all the time. I'll have somebody come up behind the computer and say, hey, can you take a look at this? Which one do you like better? And so I'll show them the color, the black and white, or the tinted. And I don't have to go through and change sliders when I'm doing that. And so that way they can just kind of sit back, color, black and white, tinted. Which one you like better? So that's where the versions come in really handy. So it's kind of twofold. It's not exactly like a virtual copy that we had inside of Lightroom, but it's a close approximation to being able to do something very close to it inside of Camera Raw. Not to mention, if you're editing a photo and you know you're at a good stopping point. All right, here I'm happy with the photo. I've made some settings. I'm good with it at this point, but I want to go on. I want to do some other things. I don't want to lose what I've done up until this point. That's another great example to use snapshots because I can save it as a snapshot, takes a picture of that photo at that point in time. And that way, if I ever get to that point of no return where I've done so many different things to it, I don't know how to get back, come back over here, just click on the snapshot. Cool thing about this is it's saved with the file. So it gets saved inside all the metadata with the file. So the next time I would open this back up inside of Camera Raw, you would see the snapshot. It's not going to happen for another photo. It's photo specific. So you'd only see the snapshots for that specific photo, but it can come in really handy if you do want to see kind of different views and different takes on a way and directions that you can go when you're processing your photos.